Hi, this is Stephanie Hammeter, and I am presenting my final project for EdTech 5320 with Dr. Elwood in the fall of 2010. My project is the impact of oil. This is a project-based learning experience for about 5th grade level. Here I have a blog, which will be the way in which my students will access information for this project. On my home page here I have a mission and a description. I'm letting teachers know that their science, social studies, English language arts, and technology TEKS are all covered, and that this unit will entail quite a bit of research by the students and that web access is required. It's approximately a 2-week unit, and down here on the bottom I have some detailed teacher info, which takes them to a Google document where I have a complete outline of the whole project, the mission statement, the project goals, prerequisite knowledge the students must have, a project outline listing all the tasks, the description of the task, the resources, timeline, milestones, and assessment. I have some check bricks on here and some rubrics for the research that they will be doing. I have links to websites that they will be using. And further down, I'm going to go see a timeline of tasks. I have a link to all the resources put onto one page in another Google document right here. And then this box down here is a TEKS by task. I've gone and put in the exact TEK numbers. It's kind of an abbreviated form. And then down below, I've spelled out the TEKS for you in long format. Back to the blog. And to the intro day, we'll be comparing and contrasting a couple of photos and making a KWL chart, what they already know about oil, what they want to learn about oil, or anything that has to do with oil. On to the next day, we're going to talk about oil basics. This is going to be a day that they're going to be at the computer exploring the Adventures in Energy website. This website has a ton of information, and it's a little interactive as well. The students get to read about all these different topics that are over here on this side, and some of them have little interactive things for them to do. See for yourself what all products are made from oil, and they get to work on finding all the things that are made with oil products or oil-based products, petroleum products. And at the end of each little section there's a little quiz. I'm not real concerned about what grade they make on the little quizzes. I just want them to get some background information to work with. And at the end of this day we're going to be adding to our KWL chart to see what did we learn about oil. Then we're going to move on to our dependence upon oil. As that little website pointed out, we do have a lot of products made from petroleum. So I found a chart that in 2006 we had considerably more oil consumption than any other nation in the world. And here is a short video for them to watch about life without petroleum. The guy goes through the house and everything keeps disappearing around him, so it's kind of comical, but it makes the point. Then they're going to look at this list of items made from petroleum products, and this is a very it's got a lot of everyday items on there that you wouldn't normally think of: lipstick, pantyhose, deodorant. So we are much more dependent upon oil than we might think we are to begin with. They're going to research some pros and cons of oil usage. I've got a template for them to fill in with pros and cons. They're going to do that in a group setting. And then a journal entry that they'll be required to turn in. After researching the pros and cons, do you think that the pros outweigh the cons? Why? Make sure you discuss some of the pros and cons in your journal entry. And their assessment for today is that each group is going to turn in their list of pros and cons and then their individual journal entry. Here I have a place for them to check the check brick to figure out exactly what is expected of them. I do have some criteria here for them to look at. One list per group for the pros and cons. A journal entry, I'm looking to see that they have individual written journal entry, that it addresses U.S. dependence on oil and illustrates how oil benefits our economy. But otherwise, it's just sort of a completed or not completed piece of work. It's not anything that I'm going to grade since it is a journal entry. And then from there, what happens when oil gets into our oceans? A lot of people think this happens from tankers, from spills of transportation, from drilling in the ocean, but there's lots of ways that oil enters our waters. So we're going to explore some other options as well, not just the tankers and the drilling. This section is going to take 2 to 3 days to complete. This is one of the biggie sections, and there's a lot of research to be done. So this page actually has a lot of text on it, but I've tried to break it up into smaller chunks for them so that they can complete one chunk at a time. This is going to be a jigsaw assignment. So they're going to be working in 2 different groups. The first group is their jigsaw group, and the second group is an expert group. Each person in the jigsaw group will have a job. They'll either be an environmentalist, a biologist, economist, or historian. Here I've outlined those job duties. From there, they will work in expert groups. All the environmentalists will meet together, all the biologists will meet together, and similarly the economists and the historians will all meet together to do their research in their expert groups. I do have a rubric here to see how they will be graded on their research. They're going to need to be looking at multiple sources. They're going to need to be able to synthesize that information so that on their final product they don't have duplicates or holes in their research. And I'm also looking here for some specific TEKs. I don't have the numbers on here, but I do have the numbers on the teacher document. Once they are done with their research, they're going to go back to their jigsaw groups and teach their individual jigsaw groups what they learned. Those jigsaw group members are then going to come in and ask questions. Well, what did you think about this? Did you look for this? What about this idea? I don't think you guys covered this in your biologist research. So here I have an example of what this might look like. They're using Google Docs, and they're going to be using the comment features of the Google Doc to help them here. If I can get my screen moved over. This is an example of how they're going to be dumping all of their research information in one place. They can put pictures, articles, notes, whatever they need, and then they're going to take that back to the jigsaw group. The jigsaw group is going to come over here and make some comments. Well, my mom says we can't go to the beach. What will happen to the small shop owners, hotels, restaurants if no one goes on vacation? The next person comes in and looks at what's been done before and says, oh, well, I think the hotels will stay full because of all the people who are coming in to help with the cleanup. Notice that nobody here said, I like this piece of work. You guys did a great job. That's not the kind of comment we're looking for. So students may need some direct teaching here on how to make comments. What we're looking for is for them to extend the information or to find holes in the research that need to be filled. Then they're going to go back to their expert group, fill in those holes, find answers to those questions, and for the very last time, they'll go back to their jigsaw group and explain what they found out. They'll fill in the holes that needed to be filled in, and when all of that is said and done, there'll be a final quiz. Then we'll have a day with some hands-on things where they get to go and mix some oil and water, try to clean that off some feathers and see how that affects our wildlife. Upon completion of these experiments, they'll be doing a journal entry and turning in an observation sheet from the experience and adding to their KWL chart. And the biggie is the final project. We're having a contest to see what group can come up with the best proposal for a future project for our class where we can be hands-on. Because as kids, we sometimes think that we don't have power to do anything about these huge, big issues. But what I want them to understand is that it only takes one person to start something. So I'm going to give them some examples. Here's a 10-year-old who set up a lemonade stand and earned some money to donate to a charity who helped to clean up the Horizon oil spill. Here is a little girl, Olivia, a fifth grader, who decided to help. So what she does is draw birds, and people give her donations for a bird drawing, and she then takes that money and gives it to a bird rescue charity. So they're going to have to decide what kind of project they want to come up with. They're going to have to make the plan for the research and assign jobs within their group. This may need a lot of teacher intervention the first time that you do an actual research project of this magnitude. But here are some questions for them to think about. If you're going to support an organization, is the organization legitimate? Is it well known? Will you be fundraising? Will you be collecting a product? If you're going to collect a product to send, will the product be bulky? How much will it cost to send? So they're going to turn in to their teacher a draft. And then after the draft has been approved, they can go on to a little bit more research, some of the details. And in the end, they're going to come up with a final presentation. Here's an example of a final presentation. They're going to be using Prezi. This person has chosen to teach to start an education program instead of collecting a product or making a charitable donation. So they're going to go through and we are looking for some photos and some graphics to be included. The how, the why, the what of the project is all included in this one. There's just an example here. Then the final oral presentation. There's also a rubric for them to check out and see what it is that they need to do in order to make a good grade on their final proposal. They've got problem solving, they've got environmental impact, the steps to their solution, their oral presentation, and a peer evaluation. How well did their group work together? So quite a few things that they have to cover there. It's a major undertaking, and I'm guessing at least a week for this. So that's the bulk of their presentation. And that is my Impact of Oil project-based learning experience for my fifth graders.